Okay, this is the Really Good Podcast.
An
Episode
official
2.
name.
Yeah, we have an official name now, which I came up with myself.
Hmm
And I
Did not
didn't-
check with me.
No?
Just uploaded it. Did the cover art without checking with the team. Weren't so happy about it. Fired him. Got a new Josh.
I thought, yeah.
So,
Wait, excuse me? Who am I?
Carry on. Carry on. What were you gonna say?
I was pretty confident that you'd be okay with all my executive decisions, to be honest.
Yeah, I have no
And you were.
ideas. I had no ideas on it. I think really good is exactly the message, the brand.
Yeah, it's very pompous and arrogant to say. Especially after one episode, which has about 40 views.
If it's bad, it can be ironic.
Yeah.
So that we have that. Start off ironic.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've done like no preparation for today, really, compared to last
I
week.
just wrote out notes on my phone for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Which is actually more than I did last week. Last week?
Exactly.
Last
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
Yeah, I have some very vague notes as well. So we kind of said we were going to talk about TV shows this time around.
TV shows we've marathoned, like TV
That
shows
you
that are
can
good for that.
marathon, that you can really get through. Like, I guess it's TV shows where almost every episode is good. Like,
Oh.
there's a high quality to the majority of it.
Oh,
And I feel like you're realizing
you mean?
that's not the case.
Okay, I've just remembered another TV show. But also, for every single one I've listed, it gets bad after about 3 seasons. Well, not
Right.
bad. It gets. You gotta. Oh, I've just remembered like 5 more. Fuck it. It gets.
Well, you can still bring them up. It doesn't have to be.
Okay, I've just gotta remember.
Mhm.
They're bingeable. Like
Yeah.
you can have it on in the background. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Some of them are like short and good.
They just need
That's
to be
good.
short. That's what I've realized. Don't make your TV show 10 seasons long and expect every episode to be a gem.
Yeah. I'm realizing now that I don't actually have any English shows on here. Maybe one. But that is what I love about going back to old shows that you kind of missed. Because, especially with English shows, they are usually about 6 episodes long.
Yeah.
So it's
Roughly.
so easy to get into them.
Yeah, wrap up in 5 episodes, really.
Yeah.
No filler.
Yeah.
Straight to the point.
No
That's
box
all about them.
episodes. No.
I actually like box episodes. I like bottle episodes.
Bottle episodes, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, box episodes.
So bottle episodes are where.
It's just normally in one room with the like real time frame. So no time skips really, and it's just like a character study.
Set in one location.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so Breaking Bad has one of those called The
Oh,
Fly,
yeah.
which is actually the lowest rated episode. So,
I
what
do
do you
remember
think of
that.
bottle episodes now?
I do remember that being slower. Okay. I'm fine.
Yeah, I remember you watching and thinking like,
Did I fall asleep?
this isn't very entertaining.
Okay.
You probably did, yeah.
I mean, Breaking Bad is different because there's a lot of muttering, because it's drama. and
Murdering or
mut-
muttering?
well,
Oh.
muttering, like
Muttering?
like a lot of just low talking,
Yeah.
which I get because it's a gritty drama, and you have to have some talking that goes below like 2 decibels, whatever. But
Sure.
and it was in a
What's
very
that got
dark
to do
room.
with The Fly? The Fly episode.
Oh, the episode. Okay.
Yeah. Not the
well,
film.
because then it was in a lot of other episodes. It's some like I don't know, car chases or
Oh, okay, yeah.
like montages.
Yeah.
Montages are a lot in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
They're a lot.
It's a big character study episode, I think.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's definitely like worth. It's not just thrown in. It
Yeah.
definitely feels like it's worth it. But
Yeah, it's definitely not. It gives something to the plot.
yeah, it's not just gratuitous. I think it adds something.
Mhm.
But I get why it was the lowest, just because it is the slowest. And if you're at Breaking Bad for the fun, fast-paced, horrible
Yeah,
drama,
which a lot of people are, and I guess now we've already kind of segued into talking about Breaking Bad. So
which was not on my list actually.
oh
I
really?
completely forgot about that one.
Okay, that's interesting.
All of
'cause-
mine are funny. Like they're all comedies.
Yeah, because you have now seen Breaking Bad, the whole thing,
Yes.
and you didn't get through it the first time, which I have no idea.
Nope. I got to season 5.
Which is even more
Episode
insane. Like, if you got through
6.
season 1 and then stopped, then fair enough. But,
No.
like, you almost made it to the end and then stopped,
I
which
got
is
tired. I got real tired.
mental.
It's because so they were all really good, obviously, but I was rushing to keep up with everyone else. I
Yeah.
watched it when it was still kind of.
It was still
relevant.
airing, yeah.
And I don't think I even paid attention to most of the episodes. They were just kind of on in the background, which I then, after seeing it again, realized that's not how you do it. You do have to just sit down and watch it and be
Yeah.
sad for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got to the end and I realized, I looked around and I thought, who are these people? What's happening? Do I care anymore?
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't really care because I hadn't been invested in it because I just wanted to finish it. And
Fair
I
enough.
left it for
Fair
3
enough.
years.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
watched
and then you came back and seemed like you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was really, yes, I can understand why it's like the best TV series, just because every episode is. That's one of the rare TV shows where every episode does feel good. Like,
Yeah. It's solid throughout, I
Yeah.
think. Like there's
consistently
just yeah. I've now seen it 3 times through, I think, and
Oh.
the first time it's definitely the first show that I've ever seen where the very first episode I was like so hooked by this show.
good. Yeah,
I don't think that even happened with Game of Thrones, to be honest. I think
yeah,
Breaking Bad is the only show that's ever happened with where I was like, I'm so invested in this show, I'm gonna go through all however many seasons there were at the time and just binge watch this.
Oh, actually, yeah, I think that's one of the only series I've seen where there's no dip. Like, there's no bit where you're like, oh, this is where they get the budget. It's just
Yeah,
from the onset. It seems like they had all the budget they needed or something like that. There's no, it's just it's consistent.
that's true.
But I did just remember a bit where I lost interest. Not lost
Really?
interest, just kind of like, alright, hurry it up. When he's in spoilers, when he's in the
Yeah, probably huge spoilers for the rest of this, by the way.
everything,
Just
discussing
every show we talk
10
about.
TV shows in
'Cause,
detail.
yeah, we're not gonna be darting
Subtle
around the
about it.
subject.
No.
Yeah, sorry. go on.
When he's in a shed and it's snowing.
That's like okay. That's so towards the climax, he pretty much goes into hiding.
Yeah, for context. He's in a shed.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that is only the last few episodes. Just because it's been so fast paced, the whole series, not just
But
season.
that's what everyone. So many people make that complaint that like there's like they just want the fast paced bits, but without
I know.
the character
Mm-hmm.
slow study bits.
Oh,
I mean,
so it sounds like you like bold episodes in that case.
no, no, because that's all in one location, and that makes me
Okay.
feel a bit claustrophobic and a bit like I need some change of scenery a little bit here.
Yeah.
But Breaking Bad, I think, does it quite well. Anyway, yeah, a lot of people do seem to have that complaint that it's too slow,
Around that bit.
or yeah, in some places. Not even around that bit. I mean, there's plenty of parts where, especially when Walt and Jesse decide to break off from cooking and
What
just live their normal lives for a bit.
Oh, I kind of
like-
like that because it got a bit better, didn't it? I feel like, or maybe for Jesse.
Yeah, I think things got better.
Yeah,
but the
I like that
show,
bit.
like people always think like, oh, there's no car chases and like
No, that was nice.
little, experiments blowing up and stuff.
Yeah, and fun little music video montages.
Yeah,
But that was really nice because I didn't want to die inside, and everyone was just happy. And I
Mm-hmm.
really treasure that. That's my problem with Game of Thrones in that. That's why
Yeah.
also Game of Thrones is on my list because it's not fun to watch. Like there's so many moments that are like amazing.
yeah.
And like just good TV or whatever. But it's really horrible to watch, and I felt like I needed to take a breather
Well,
after every episode.
I think last night we genuinely watched something that wasn't fun to watch, and I think that was the true experience of watching something that isn't fun to watch. So,
Anyway. Okay, it wasn't like
Talking
mother,
about Mother, by the
levels.
way,
Yeah.
yeah.
It wasn't, which is probably controversial, but it wasn't that level. Like obviously, the episode was entertaining, but it's just the amount of
Is it the-
horrible scenes.
the violence, the kind of
Yeah.
sexual
And
assault,
like, oh, that
and
character
like,
said no, that character
yeah.
said, oh, they died really horribly. That's
Yeah.
cool. I just, I think after the Red Wedding was when I broke a little bit, and I could, and then I felt better. Like I could watch that without wanting to die. But it's not for that reason. It's not a binging marathoning one, even though we did marathon it and binge it, because
Yeah.
you can't have it on the background and it's not fun to watch. And that's my criteria for marathoning TV series.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I was talking to my dad a couple months ago, and he was saying how he didn't like the end of Gone Girl because it doesn't like the mystery of it doesn't end. There's no justice at the end of Gone Girl. Like nobody really gets punished for the actions of
What they've
I
done.
can't remember. Yeah.
What's the name?
Um,
Amy?
I think yeah,
Yeah.
it is, yeah. Yeah, 'cause she writes Amazing Amy. Yeah. Yeah, so he was saying like he doesn't like things where there's no kind of like justice at the end. And then I immediately went on to recommend Game of Thrones, so
Oh, cool.
thinking like that's probably exactly the kind of thing you would hate.
Yeah.
Even though it's just such a good show though.
It felt different to me because yeah, I think at the beginning of Game of Thrones was like, where are the police? Where is anybody saying no, you can't do that? Like, just, where are the people on the horses being like, stop it? But with
Yeah.
Gone Girl, it felt a bit. Maybe it's just 'cause it's a film, so it's you don't care about the characters as much.
Mm.
It's so short. I could just kind of leave it as it is. Like I was fine with the ending because I was like, yeah, that I don't know, that checks out. Like it's been horrible this whole time. No one's really paid for anything. So yeah, it would end like that, I guess. And it kind of left it like really ominous and unsettling, and I like that. I like.
Yeah, I do. I think if you like Breaking Bad, you probably like unhappy endings, to be honest, because it really is a show that just doesn't try to be something. They try to be realistic, I think. Well,
Breaking
it's
Bad or
got
Game of
fucking
Thrones?
dragons and stuff in it.
Try it.
But it's it's not shying away from the darkness in life.
Okay, I
think.
think. Oh, that's angsty. I think.
No, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
For me, what sets I think Breaking Bad, there is sometimes moments of justice, or like you feel like you're not going insane watching it because everyone's reacting how you would, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like there's people having consciences.
Yeah.
Like
consciences.
Yeah, the word. And then in Game of Thrones, you feel like you're going insane because everyone's horrible, and bad things keep happening to everybody, and it goes beyond like realism for me because it's just like horrible things happening for the sake of horrible things happening for like shock. Whereas Breaking Bad felt like everything made sense, I guess. Like there's a reason for everything.
Yeah, in that way, I do think Breaking Bad is the better show, even though they're hardly like comparable. But
So people have to do it.
yeah, people like us have got to do it.
Yeah, gotta make a podcast about Breaking Bad. There's not many of those out there.
I've heard a lot more about Game of Thrones, to be honest. I don't know that many about Breaking Bad, but I wasn't really listening to podcasts when Breaking Bad was on.
Yeah, I kind of missed Breaking Bad when it happened, when it was relevant. But yeah, Game of Thrones podcasts
There's so many.
There's a market for it.
Yeah. I had to sift through a lot of them to find a good one.
Like the fairies and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think that just with Game of Thrones, I think the thing about it is none of the characters are black and white, good or bad, and that is what is interesting about it. It doesn't rely on those kind of cliches and tropes about characters being like the White Knight or like the evil character.
Yeah.
They all have.
There are no
bad
tropes.
things,
Definitely.
But I guess it's hard for you to talk about because you haven't seen all of it yet.
That's true. Yeah. So I can't say definitively what characters I dislike or like because I haven't seen them get their like comeuppance, or I haven't seen them do like the one horrible thing that they do at some point.
Yeah.
I think my problem was that so Gone Girl, I didn't particularly like anybody in that movie, so it was fine that no one got justice.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones.
That's a fair argument.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
They're not likable characters.
Maybe it's really likable.
And they don't really act like people. I think in the first 20 minutes of watching Gone Girl, I was like, oh, they speak really strange. Like I couldn't decide if it was a good film or not because the dialogue was really weird. Like no one was talking like how a person would. Whereas
it's always interesting the way when something is adapted from a book, the way that they adapt the writing, because it doesn't always quite translate onto screen.
Yeah.
When you do it word for word.
Yeah, when you hear people say it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say that with Game of Thrones because they're speaking in like Old English. Well, not Old English. They're like Irish a lot of the time. But they're speaking. You can't really say like, oh, that's how people talk because it's not even in the same universe.
Yeah, that's true. I always wonder with Game of Thrones, like, just the way that they talk and they use the word like cunt and fuck and like tits and stuff. And
this podcast is not PG anymore. You've now ruled out a whole demographic, Karen.
Oh, we're gonna get demonetized. So
Yeah. No, our revenue.
Like, the whole derivation of those words would have to mean that it came from like a similar place to, like,
England. Yeah.
So I guess I don't know where it's meant to be set. Like,
it's made up.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
I don't know to really think that deep about it.
No, I don't. Doesn't everyone agree that it's in the United Kingdom somewhere? Probably, kind of.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, yeah,
it
it
seems
doesn't
like
look
Scottish
dissimilar,
and-
like
no.
shape-wise. It's
No.
just a big long island, really.
Yeah. And clothes-wise, they look like they could be from any fantasy universe or like medieval times
Yeah.
maybe, or different countries and cultures. I don't know. It's a mishmash.
Mm.
Off topic. Completely. What was I
Little
gonna
bit.
say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So none of these are like any of the TV shows I've got down.
Okay. Well, yeah. If you wanna say one of your ones,
Okay.
because I don't think we've really
To balance it
talked
out.
about comedy yet.
No. One of the first TV shows that I watched every day was Everybody Loves Raymond, which is actually really
Nice.
bad to watch and really horrible, but for different reasons.
Why do you say that?
Well, when I was little, it was just funny. It was like, ha ha, they hate each other. It's good.
Yeah.
And then the older I get and the more I watch it, I'm like, oh god, they really do hate each other. Like, I think it's one of those shows where you get, like, a lot of people find it funny that how dysfunctional they are and, like, no one listens to each other. But I'm just there, like, pulling hair out of my head. Like, why aren't you communicating? This is
There's so much
horrible.
conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. There really is in that show.
Yeah. Everybody
Yeah.
really doesn't love Raymond, to be honest.
I think everyone loves Raymond. I don't know if everyone else loves
Deborah
each other.
doesn't love Raymond.
I think
I'm just going to say that. They're in a loveless marriage.
To be honest, the amount of stupid things that he does, she probably wouldn't have loved him by the end.
No. Doesn't he almost die?
I don't remember that.
He almost dies in the last episode. Some kind of Bojack Horseman.
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Oh, shit,
No, I
Bojack
remember
Horseman.
now. Yeah. Yeah, he has to have like surgery or something.
Yeah, and that's the final
You're
episode.
right,
Is that
Bojack Horseman.
there's a second where everyone thinks that Raymond has died.
Yeah.
And then he hasn't, and then it ends.
Yeah.
And that's a curveball because there's
I
not
completely
been.
forgot about that.
Yeah, there's been actually no, there have been. Tonally, it's kind of weird because it's just a fun sitcom, like episodic stuff. Like there's not really a storyline, but then occasionally there's bits like, are they gonna get a divorce or like he's dying?
It gets pretty hardcore about just I don't know, like domestic
marriages and relationships, like cheating comes up a lot, and
yeah.
the mother-in-law thing. I feel like they have real arguments about her existence.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it flashes back a lot to see like the beginning of the marriage and stuff like that. So you can really see where things fell apart. And you're just watching this family disintegrate.
Yeah. All I remember is that it's like such an enclosed sitcom that it's usually either at Ray's house or his parents' house.
Yeah.
And it's almost always just like the last 10 minutes is just two people arguing. That's what I seem to remember. It's a very confrontational sitcom.
Yeah, it's really stressful. I forgot about that actually. There's only, I'd say once per episode there is another location that they're in for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the majority of it is just in these two houses.
Yeah.
And they just hate each other.
There's not really any other sitcoms like that that I can think of. Like, it's not even that. Like, I don't think it ends with. It's not always about kind of arguments.
Oh no, yeah, yeah. Arguments is not at its core. Wait, on my list? No, like that's the only one that is all about horrible moments.
Because it's not like they're bad people. They're just trying to be.
Complicated. Some of them are like comedically bad. Like another one. Like Frank is. To be a bad person.
I guess he.
But then he gets a lot.
Is technically the worst
your favorite
one.
Character? Wait, did he say?
Did I say something?
Frank? Yeah, I was like, he was like the best character.
I think he's one of the best characters.
Yeah.
I do.
I hate him.
I think there's a very good dynamic where just the whole family, like, they're just that, Robert is jealous of Ray because he, gets much more praise from his parents, and he's this big, like, famous writer, and, like, there's this, the
got,
whole
like,
relationship
children and
between
wife.
them is very, like, believably brotherly.
Yeah.
Like, you could really believe that they're brothers.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, okay, that's my favorite relationship in the thing, because then there is this undertone of hatred, but then sometimes there's just, like, nice moments, and they're the best moments.
Yeah.
Whereas, whenever Deborah and the mother, Marie, that's the name, are in the same room, just the passive aggression gives me an aneurysm, and no one ever says what they mean, and politics, I think, is at the heart of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Like horrible family politics. And it's just not fun to watch. It's not bingeable anymore. It's on the list, but it's been taken off the list because I can't binge watch anymore because I want to die.
I think you could probably binge watch it in the background. I think you could have it
Yeah.
on and just let it play out, and you'd like pretty much get the gist. You don't really have to
Yeah. Get the
pay
idea.
attention and learn house sigils. It's
Yeah.
just, you can just take it in
Yeah.
just automatically.
But yeah, they're mad. Cool. Carry on. As in
Yeah.
angry, not like mental. They're mad,
Mental.
mate. That's like, oh wait, okay, another one. You haven't seen it.
Mhm.
But another one that's kind of like family politics and just a bit horrible to watch, but a lot less so. Gilmore Girls.
I knew you were gonna say Gilmore. I
Because
knew you were gonna say horrible to watch. That. That's not the vibe that I get from people.
well,
who
I
like it.
tried to watch it again this year. So I watched it for the first time last year around autumn, and that was perfect. It was the perfect setting. And there were a lot of moments where I wasn't sure about it, but I kept going, and it was mostly funny. It was mostly comedy.
Yeah.
I thought, but then I watched it again, this time, and straight off the bat, it's a lot more like there's a lot more upset than I remembered. Like the first
Really?
episode is all very there's so much drama, and I thought it was mainly just like a really small town, like stupid little like town meetings. It's all pretty cute,
Yeah.
and then there's this like you get introduced to the fact that Lorelai,
Is that the main girl? Is she
woman,
So that's
mother,
the mom.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's
I
Lorelai.
know nothing about Gilmore Girls, so like how would you kind of pitch it, like elevator
Oh,
pitch it to someone who hasn't seen it?
It's awesome. It's
It's
twee.
As in
Everyone's crying.
Sure.
I think there's some scarves. Good fashion, actually.
That's not.
So
how you pitch.
that's it. Did I get the job? With Gilmore Girls. It's like so that Lorelai and what's her name? Rory. That's it.
Uh-huh.
Have a very nice relationship, like mother and daughter.
Mm.
She was 16 when she had Rory. They're like best friends. There's a whole theme song about it. And then the stepmother, whatever, grandmother, not stepmother. What's her name? Okay, the grandparents I always forget the names of
Yeah.
are just like wasps, like really rich upper class, like white grandparents.
Yeah.
Just pretty bad. And then they threw out Lorelai when she was pregnant, or she
Okay.
ran away.
Because she was so young.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
and they wanted. Okay, no, this is what it was. I feel like I'm just saying gossip about like my classmates. Lorelai got pregnant with this boyfriend that she didn't want to marry. They wanted them to marry, so Lorelai ran away because she didn't want to marry this guy. And then they just didn't speak for like I don't know, 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
It's a number of years. And the whole season is basically the grandparents entrapping them in this deal where they pay for Rory's university finances fees as long as they go to dinner every Friday.
Right.
And that's generally where the episode happens.
Okay. Is that like a very kind of heavy conflict episode then, usually?
Yeah,
When
that's
it
when
gets to
things go wrong usually, and they just sit. But it's also the comedy bit, or like there's one of my favorite bits is like towards the end of the series, there's always like this uncomfortable, horrible passive aggression somebody normally storms out. But at the end of the series, there's this one episode, like towards the end of it, where they just decide to air everything out, and it's just a montage for about 10 minutes. Going from one scene where they're like screaming and crying, and another scene where they're laughing about something like manically, and another season where somebody's running out the door, and another scene where somebody's like throwing a glass, and then they're like looking through photo albums. Like the manicness of it is really funny,
Right.
and
yeah.
then highlights
So
how
it goes
ridiculous it
through
is.
some ups and downs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a roller coaster.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's definitely something you can put on the background because
Yeah.
it's just a mix of like high school drama, love triangles, and then puns.
Really.
Yeah, and fast talking. They talk so
Right.
fast.
Yeah.
It's exhausting a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's. Then yeah, so as I say, I tried to watch it again. Couldn't get through it because it was just too sad. It's too dramatic.
Yeah. That's the problem I have with some American comedies. They just have an underlying sadness about them, and I think Scrubs is probably the worst culprit for that.
How
Like,
dare
I
you.
just-
I've literally got in my
just-
notes, if you hate it, then you hate fun.
What Scrubs?
Yeah. It's got like sadness, but there's very few episodes I feel like where it's real sadness, like when the episode Dr. Cox accidentally Doesn't kill.
Kills Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, no.
I don't know that
Kills
much about
Tarzan.
Scrubs. I know.
No, well, yeah, his brother dies, and then the whole. Okay, that's quite a corny episode, but it's really sad when you're 13 seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
When, yeah, his brother dies, but you don't realize that he's dead until the very end of the episode, and you're like, oh shit.
He's like, where do you think we are?
Yeah. Wow, is JD here? Is that Braff in the room with us now?
I'm not even. I honestly am not a fan of Scrubs, but I've just seen so much of it because my brothers loved it so much when we were growing up, and I just never found it funny. I never got into it.
Because you don't have a soul. It's just silly. It's just like, I think that's where my humor came from. Like,
Yeah.
adult, like that's the basis.
That's the thing.
my
It's like a
personality.
big turning point in people's like comedy. where
Yeah.
they figure out what's
My
funny and
comedy,
stuff.
my
Like-
comedy career. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
a lot of people rate that as like one of the like a Friends level, and
Yeah.
like
It wasn't.
yeah,
Yeah, it's on the same level because they're
Yeah.
both on E4
yeah,
mainly.
yeah, exactly. It's probably on like it was on just before Friends.
Yeah.
I remember.
Exactly.
Like 5 o'clock or something.
Yeah. Do you just hate it because it's in a hospital? Is
I
that
don't
it?
like things that sound hospitals.
Is that?
I don't
which
know
is
where this
stupid.
deep-rooted feeling comes from, but I just
No.
don't like it.
Did something really not funny happen when you're in a hospital once?
I had a broken leg. That's
Oh, that's
like
it.
that's pretty much the only traumatic time I've had in a hospital.
And Scrubs came on, and it was just a little too much. Like, I hate this TV show forever. I'm 4. But it's- I just love how it definitely started the like that humor that happened in around 2008, where you just said the word egg, or like the XD face,
You just
and you on
being a bit
MySpace.
random.
Yeah, a bit random, you know, a
Mm.
little bit quirky.
Yeah.
I think it started that humor, but that was the humor of the time. That was what we were about at that time, and I like it because also, okay, apart from I'm gonna say it ends in season 9. I think that's when the finale happens, where JD
Right.
leaves.
Is that like before it came back? Because I swear.
Yeah,
Like,
we
yeah.
don't talk about Scrubs interns. And then I'm going to say it stopped being good maybe around season 7,
Hmm.
because I rewatched it fairly recently. And that was when I lost interest. It just got a bit too, the silliness went, and it got more into like drama between Ellie and JD. And we'd done it, we're over it.
Yeah.
But then the finale, I know this is another idea for a podcast, but the finale where JD leaves was like one of the saddest things I've seen. I think I
Really?
cried for a really long
Where does
time.
he leave to? What's he leaving?
Bored. Didn't want to be in the TV show anymore. I can't remember.
Or is he just not being a doctor anymore?
I think
or a scrub?
Still being a scrub. I think he didn't want no scrubs. No. TLC plays as he slowly walks out of the building. I think he gets a job at another hospital, maybe. So he has to move, and he's just moving on. It's what most TV shows should do, where they realize that it's over,
Yeah.
and we can just end it. And they didn't end it because then they did Scrubs interns, but
Yeah.
when he's like walking out of the hospital, and there's like the fucking Peter Gabriel Book of Love projection of his life with Elliot together, and have you seen it?
No, I
Oh,
haven't.
okay.
I actually haven't.
That
I
was a
have no
good
idea.
finale. That was a good finale. It's
Yeah.
really corny still, but like,
Is it like the
fit.
end of La La Land, where it's like,
oh god, yeah.
is it that kind of
No, if that, I don't care for La La Land, right?
thing? I don't know.
It felt in
Don't
Scrubs.
care for
I don't care for it. In Scrubs, it felt more like genuine.
But
felt more
that
sentimental.
is what's happening. Like it's showing like what could have been.
No. Okay, well,
Oh, right.
okay, so okay. He's doing the whole inner monologue thing, and then
Yeah.
he turns a corner, and there's like everyone that's been in the TV show and stuff like that, and he walks down, and they say a thing, and it's pretty cheesy. And
Mhm.
then he gets to the doors, and then he's standing outside the building, and there's like a white sheet over something, and the projection plays with Peter Gabriel's Book of Love
Right.
playing of like what he imagines the future to be.
Yeah.
Because he's having all these like fantasies throughout the whole thing, so this is like the last like daydream thing.
Mhm.
And then the creator of Scrubs like pulls the white sheet down after it's over and just like throws it in the bin, and then he just walks out of the
Oh,
thing,
right.
and then that's it. It's the end of the thing.
Is it Chuck Lorre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he says something. I can't remember.
Maybe
Not
not
like
a
to
lot.
the camera, but he said I don't know. I think just his night to JD, and then he walks away, and that's it. That's good.
Okay.
But the 2 seasons before that aren't great. So I think I would just watch that one episode.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
fun.
interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm still not sold, but
All right. Well, that's what happens in the entire season.
but I'm glad I know what happens in the end. Yeah.
Turns out okay. Are there any comedies on yours? Or are they all drama?
Comedies. That is. Okay, I just want to say quickly before we move too far from well, we're not talking about Breaking Bad anymore, but
We've
Better Call
moved on.
Saul
Oh
is
yeah,
another show that we have watched,
I forgot about that.
and it's good.
Yeah.
It's a really good show.
It's a good one. I've talked to people that thought it was terrible.
Yeah,
Or just not terrible, just bad, like not worth watching.
yeah.
And I don't get that at all. Like it's definitely different to Breaking Bad.
As far as a spin-off goes from a TV show,
Yeah.
those are usually never successful.
What was the one with
and-
Joey from Friends?
Yeah, that's the one I always go
That's
to.
the
thinking
competition.
I'm just, yeah, pretty much. And yeah, this just works so well because it's the same director, quite a few of the same writers, I think, and it feels exactly like Breaking Bad, just a bit less manic, a bit more kind of. It's more.
It's mellow.
It's more, yeah, more mellow, more of a character study in a way.
Yeah.
It's very much very slow paced, very like you can really just like sink into it and just
Luxury.
It's a
Sink into
premium luxury experience. It probably wouldn't be for everyone, but I couldn't give a shit about lawyer programs, and this is very entertaining to me, even though
Yeah.
it's a lot of it is about like lawyering
Yeah,
and
there's a lot
kind
of
of and brothers as well. Like, just
yeah, another family drama.
yeah,
I guess.
Michael McKean is so good
Oh,
in
yeah.
this program. He is like one of the best characters in this
Definitely.
program.
Yeah. When does that come back?
I don't know. Probably quite soon.
Okay. That's
Probably early next year, I hope.
Yeah.
I
'Cause
think.
It's
It's been a while.
We watched it very quickly, so
Yeah. So
I'm
it's
waiting.
3 seasons now, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Before season.
Yeah. And yeah, I just have no idea where it's going to go because it's all leading, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's all leading up to the point after Saul has been Saul, basically. So he is, like with Breaking Bad, it kind of flips between the timeline,
Oh, yeah.
and he is, it's showing us what Saul became after he was a lawyer, basically.
Yeah, it's
So,
like a prelogue and an epilogue at the same time,
yeah,
with like the epilogue is that the bit after
yeah,
being in black and white, and then the prelogue being
Yeah.
the whole prologue. Prologue.
yeah,
That's the word. Being in like that's the bulk of the TV show, and then they just have one epilogue scene at the beginning and end of the season.
yeah,
I think it's pretty sparse.
yeah. That's true, actually. Yeah, so there's only been 3 of them so far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is cool.
yeah, but it's so. Even though it's that slow that they're like drip feeding you this
Yeah.
amount of stuff, it's so rewarding.
Yeah, it's really
to-
good at tension building,
Yeah.
and you just want to hang on. Oh, you said.
Yeah, so that's. Just wanted to bring up that one because
Yeah.
that's a really good one.
I think that's like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, in that you have to sit less of a background thing and more of a sit down and watch it thing. Still
Yeah.
marathonable.
Oh yeah, totally. You just got to have a lot of patience with it, I think.
Yeah.
Especially when you're sort of watching Mike, because it's got a lot of
Yeah, it's
recurring
not-
characters from Breaking Bad as well, which
Yeah.
is good. It's got Gus, it's got Mike,
Yeah.
it's got the wheelchair guy, but he's not in a wheelchair yet.
Yeah, who's
It's
that
a
guy?
lot of things that's trying
Hector.
to tie up. Hector, yeah.
That's the guy.
Yeah, so it's a lot less kind of like shooting and meth making, but it's
And mess making,
and meth making.
mainly Breaking Bad. Yeah, it's a different kind of drama, but I
Mm.
think I was expecting a lot worse coming into it, and then I was
Yeah.
immediately hooked, just because I like that the whole time you're trying to guess, like, why is this relevant, or like, what is this how are they going to get from this point to Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
and you're trying to fill in the gaps the entire time, and then being second guessed, corrected
Yeah,
by the
second
TV
guessed.
show.
I guess that
Yeah.
works, yeah.
That's the phrase. Like, you're trying to think, like, oh, this is going to happen, so that it goes to that point, and then, nope, TV show's like,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. This happens.
It's really good at, subverting your expectations.
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Yeah. And it doesn't start off particularly strong, but
I thought it
it
was alright.
gets better and better every season, I think.
Yeah. It really mounts up.
Mm.
And there's definitely more episodes where it's slow and talking-y.
Mm.
But there's comedy to make up for it. It's definitely more comedic, which I think might be why I like it so much, and that I just really I like to laugh.
Yeah.
Live, love, laugh.
Mm.
And Breaking Bad has less of that. It's definitely like a comedy home, a bit like dark comedy, I would say.
Would you say it's comedy?
No, it's not a comedy, but like there's a kind of like a bit of a comedic time running throughout it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. Like dark comedy.
There
Not
definitely
really.
is. Yeah, there's definitely funny parts in it, like quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think Jesse is probably mainly sort of responsible
relief.
for the comic
Yeah.
relief. Yeah.
Whereas Better Call Saul is like entirely comic relief almost with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. Saul obviously is a lot of the comic
Yeah.
relief in Breaking Bad as well. So but it's all almost like this is almost before that facade of him being Saul, like because his name's Jimmy in Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
So
Better
this
Call
is
Break.
before.
Yeah. Before he like is the character that he's in that, I guess.
Yeah.
That's probably why I like it so much, and that there's always comedy in it.
Yeah.
And then mixed with drama. It's a good balance for me.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Um.
What else I got? Oh, Bojack Horseman is kind of the same tone for me.
Yeah, definitely.
In that it's a comedy first, I
It's
think.
just about.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit. Lines are mixing about now.
Yeah. People
but
are calling it the Sad Horse Show, which I think is pretty apt. I was not expecting it to be that kind of show when I started watching it.
No.
Because I watched maybe a season of it a couple of years ago and then stopped. Not that I didn't like it, just didn't end up watching it. And then I recently watched all of the. Is it 3 seasons now?
4.
4 seasons, yeah.
Summer, yeah.
And yeah, it really does kind of.
Gets you.
Yeah, it really gets you.
Yeah, it gets really dark.
Goes over that fine line
Threshold.
between comedy and tragedy quite a lot.
Yeah. Tragic comedy?
Yeah, it's quite a
Sort
tragic
of.
comedy.
I think it definitely takes a few episodes for it to find its feet and figure out what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
There's a few on my list like that actually, but it doesn't suffer for that. I don't think. It just definitely just keeps getting better as it goes on. And I like how each season after season 1, I would like after the end of season 1 has like a theme. I don't know, like one issue it's trying to tackle. So the latest one was like the mother and why she's like that.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, so Bojack's got a really bad relationship with his mum, and she starts living with him, and then
because of her dementia.
Because of her dementia. And then there's a whole episode of like a flashback to how how Bojack got there and how he sort of grew up and what his parents went through. And it's like
it does it by showing that really old house. He's building the house that his mum used to live in.
Yeah.
And it's showing like her history at the same time, and I really like that. That was cool. Cool
it's
technique.
really his whole inner turmoil with like being famous and like his upbringing and stuff, like and his drug and alcohol abuse and like everything is just like, it doesn't sound like a cartoon. It sounds like a fucking drama.
These are not words I'd expected to say at the beginning of season 1. Like because of her dementia was not a phrase I expected to say at any point.
It starts out so kind of wholesomely, really.
Yeah, in just comedy, and then it really it's darker than I remember thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I really like that. It's done really well.
Yeah, it's done. It's definitely not like any other cartoon show.
No.
It's a lot. It treats itself a lot more seriously than it should be for a show that has a human with a horse's head.
Pretty much, that's the only
and
difference.
like basically human bodies with animal heads.
And I like how as the drama increases, the amount of puns also increase, and alliterations and wordplay increase like tenfold, just to balance it out. That was good. I think that's one of its strengths.
And TV shows called what do celebrities know? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What do celebrities know? Do they know stuff?
What do they know?
What do celebrities know? Do they know stuff? I don't know. Let's find out.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Which is produced by
a dog.
No, isn't it?
No, it's JD Salinger.
Yeah, JD Salinger produces a fucking game show.
It feels like a fever dream.
Yeah.
And I really like it. Also, the amount of like experimentation is really cool. Like different animation styles. There's like the one episode where it's like basically his depression, like in a monologue, going throughout it, where he's like, he wakes up like, I'm a piece of shit. It's such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Wake up. And then there's like little cartoon versions of him in different
Mm.
animation styles, and then there's what other animation bits? Oh, the one with the seahorse. That was season 3.
Yeah, that one was interesting.
Yeah.
There's just a whole kind of silent episode where he goes into, because the world that they live in is all populated by animals, and he goes on a press tour, I think.
Yeah.
And he goes to this like underwater place.
Screening
where,
of his show.
Yeah. He goes to an underwater world where there's there's no dialogue, I think, for the whole show. Pretty
No,
much.
I think at the beginning there is, and then as soon as he's underwater,
Yeah.
because he can't figure out how to turn the helmet on. I think
Yeah.
that's the end. I think at the very end he realizes why.
Yeah.
And the music is really important in that, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
It's just like a nice score.
It's a
going throughout
very
it.
kind of slapstick episode because
Yeah.
you've got to do it all physical comedy.
Yeah.
And he ends up with some baby, like he's trying to.
Yeah. It feels like a Charlie Chaplin movie.
Yeah, it literally is. Yeah. So yeah, someone this weird like amoeba thing gives birth on a bus. And
No,
then
it's
it leaves...
seahorse.
Is
Male
it
seahorse.
Oh yeah, it's seahorse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it leaves one of its babies behind, and he has to get it back to the parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very.
It
old
is
school
just the
comedy.
kid. Pretty much. And then like he's in a factory and
Yeah.
essentially like bubblegum or something like that. I don't know, I can't remember. But it's really nice to watch. Every time I get to that point, because I rewatched the whole thing a few times because it is pretty easy to get through because there's not many episodes in each season, like 10
Yeah.
or 12. Every time I get to that point, I think I'll want to skip it, and then I don't every time because it just holds your attention that long.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's
Oh, what was I gonna say? Yeah.
Do you have any TV shows on that tone? Because the rest of mine are all pretty much just like sitcoms.
Actually, I was just going to talk about Extras because
Haven't seen
that's
it.
kind of a bit of a tragicomedy as well. You haven't seen Extras, have you?
I have no opinions on
So
it.
the premise of it is basically there's this guy Andy Millman who is played by Ricky Gervais, who is an extra with his friend Maggie. Like they go to different film, like every episode is set on a different film set, and they're two extras in the film, and then there's a celebrity cameo by for each episode.
Okay.
So they're like big kind of A-list celebrities like Ben Stiller and Kate Winslet and like people in each episode
And they're
who are
kind of
like
leading the
the
episode?
stars of the show,
Right.
the film that they're
Okay.
in. But it's about Andy and Maggie, just how they kind of get by being around all these really pretentious, like pompous actors, and like because everyone, all the big A-list stars of each episode are playing like a really exaggerated, like horrible version
Right,
of
like
themselves
diva
usually.
version.
Huh?
Like diva. Kind of
Yeah,
versions. Okay.
usually that sort of thing. Especially in the very first episode, Ben Stiller is just like the biggest piece of shit.
He's good at that.
Yeah,
Friends.
he's good.
Did that really well.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
So maybe.
yeah,
a bit
pretty much
worrying.
like that actually. Yeah, like
Okay, yes.
So yeah, it's about that, and it's about him trying to make Stephen Merchant is his agent in it as well, and he is just hilarious in that role. And it's just about Andy trying to get his own show made, which I'm sure kind of reflects him trying to get The Office made, because he goes to the BBC in the show and he says, I want to make this show about, because I used to work in a factory, which I guess would be like, because he based The Office on his like time working in an office. So he goes to BBC and says, I want to make the show about working in a factory. I had this boss who was like this crazy eccentric guy who was always trying to be funny, and it's almost like the show that gets made is exactly his worst nightmare of what The Office would have been, basically, because as soon as he pitches this to them, the BBC gives him this guy to write with, and he just totally makes it into like a wigs and catchphrases kind of sitcom.
Right. Yeah.
And it's the most hilarious thing, like the show within a show. It's called When the Whistle Blows.
Right.
And it's I would
Is
I
it
would show
Mrs.
you.
Brown's Boys level?
Yeah, it's literally
Yeah.
like Mrs. Brown's
Christ.
Boys. It's completely like that.
Yeah.
And Ricky Gervais is playing the boss, who is just this like, he's got like a big black afro wig and like
Right.
glasses and stuff, and he's playing this like ridiculous character. I'll show you it after after we do this. And it's just awful, and like but that's where the kind of tragicomedy comes of it, because he knows it's awful, and like he's watching TV and all these like real actual like film and TV reviewers are saying like what a load of shit it is,
Yeah.
because you know it is, and like he knows it is, and he feels like he's completely sold out.
Yeah.
And there's a great bit. David Bowie is in one episode, and he goes to this. It's like a bar somewhere in London, I think, and David Bowie's there, and David Bowie gets on the piano in this place and starts singing a song. Like he just starts improvising this song about Andy Millman, because he like loves David Bowie, but he's just like, oh, you're that idiot who does the catchphrase like program on the TV. And he just starts singing the song about how much of a loser that he is, and it's like it's so sad in a way, but it's really good.
Yeah, yeah, kind of laughing at their expense, but also like cringy. Did you say that kind of humor, or?
Oh yeah, There's a lot of cringy humor in it as well.
Because I haven't seen. I've only seen bits of the UK Office, but yeah, that was definitely more cringy. Ran on that more than the American one did.
Yeah, I watched a video, what do they call it? Like a video essay kind of thing on the difference between the UK and the US Office, and it definitely shows that there's a lot more, when David Brent makes a stupid joke, it will hang on to that moment for so long and not cut away, or just it will hang on to that silence, and it really increases the amount of cringe that comes from it. But it also shows that like in the American one, when Michael Scott makes a joke, it will kind of cut to a reaction shot, and then it will kind of it'll jump forward quickly. It will get along with like whoever speaks next is gonna kind of jump in quickly. Like it doesn't hang on to it too much.
No.
So I think that I do think the UK one's a bit more cringy and a bit more depressing,
Hard to
a bit
watch
more.
of that.
Yeah. He's a bit more of a loser in the UK one.
Less fun.
Yeah, it's a bit less fun, but God, the American one is just so
really
good in its own right.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that because it's just really good.
Yeah.
Whereas other things like Friends is
one of I don't know. The more I watch it, the less I like it. Like the more I realize there's really weird bits. I'm like, okay.
Possibly because of like the time or like the humor.
What about it seemed weird to you?
Okay,
like watching it now in 2017.
It should be called Everybody Hates Ross. I really hate.
You said Ross really quiet. Everybody hates Ross.
Everybody hates him.
He's just hard to.
I think you hate Ross. I don't think
everybody hates Ross. I can't make it clear enough. Everyone does.
Everybody hates Ross.
What's that?
Everybody hates Chris.
Oh, right. Oh yeah, I forgot that existed.
Yeah.
That's not my list.
We won't be talking about that.
No.
It wasn't bad though. I like Terry Crews as the dad. He was funny.
In it, yeah. Probably was good. I just never got around to watching it.
He's good in everything though, so.
Yeah, can't just say that. Can't say he's good in something. He's good in everything.
Yeah.
I think I find the characters more and more unlikable the more I watch them, and I think actually none of them's a really good friend, apart from Joey. Joey's the best friend.
None of them are really good friends. In Friends.
Yeah, they're not. Like I wouldn't want a lot of them as friends.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're just a bit mean.
That's interesting.
I know that friends are meant to like be a bit mean, a banter, but they're just mean. They don't build each other up. They don't support each other.
They're not there for.
Chandler goes to Joey's film premiere and he falls asleep.
Yeah.
And he lies about it. What else happens? Many things. Joey's just the best friend. There's so many. The most recent one I watched that was on TV. Was when Rachel's giving birth, and then Joey is just like says a really heartfelt thing about not leaving her or something like that as a friend, and it's always so platonic. And that's what being a true friend is. Whereas Ross is just fucking running about having his own little side adventure, and reacting to things weirdly and saying weird stuff and just being really mean.
Just going around yelling "my sandwich." Fucking Ross.
Pivot.
Fucking yelling pivot wherever he goes. Yeah.
Stop milking it. And just I like Monica. I know that's
Yeah.
controversial. I like Monica.
I don't know. I heard that they put Monica and Chandler together because people weren't like attaching to Monica as much, so that kind
Oh.
of included her more in the group. I always found her a bit annoying
Yeah, I
because
just
she's so like OCD about stuff, and it's just
she's very
it's
anal
not-
about stuff. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
can't. I'm trying to remember what she was like before her and Chandler went out. Like, yeah, she wasn't very memorable, I
Mm.
guess. She was
Before
just-
that, I guess it was more just like focusing on her relationships with like Richard and
Oh yeah.
the
Other ones.
other guy who was a boxer millionaire.
Oh yeah.
Made Iron
Also had a
Man.
mustache.
Can't remember his name. Yeah.
Yeah, rich guy. Can't remember. Wasn't very likable either.
Yeah,
Just had a lot of.
but
bad
it was never
relationships.
like she was her own character. It was
No,
like,
it wasn't any relationships.
she always had a relationship.
Yeah, and she liked to clean. That was
Yeah.
that was the whole thing.
Mm.
Yeah, I think going out Chandler definitely gave her more dimensions.
Yeah.
I think also there's just more jokes that just didn't land with me anymore. But I think that is because it has a very specific humor,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's really far removed now from where comedy is.
Yeah.
Because it finished so long ago. I mean, it finished in like
2006.
I was gonna say 2006. I think
that's
maybe
true.
that's right.
Because of that.
I reckon it was around then anyway.
Yeah. 10
yeah.
years. 10 seasons.
Over 10 years. It's got to be.
It's 10 seasons.
Yeah, 10 seasons.
Okay, so how do seasons work? How do years work?
Might have been a season a year, I
Yeah,
imagine.
something like that. And they're really long seasons. And I think what gets me is that like the values that their opinions are weird now to me.
Yeah.
And like the problems they all have with things are just like made up problems a lot of the time. Like when they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you did this thing. That's so weird." It's like, it's not weird. It's fine. Like I don't know. I just find them all to be a bit less likable because I can't relate. And that was like the basis of it for me.
What is it? What like specifically? Do you know?
I can't think of
Can
any
you think of
specific. Oh yeah, okay. One of the main reasons I hate Ross is that there's can't stress this enough. Was the one with the male nanny, and he fires him just because he feels weird about him being a nanny.
Yeah.
And that's super weird. And
Yeah.
there's no reason for it. And
yeah, that's pretty silly.
I like how everyone else thinks that he's weird for feeling weird about it. And what else? Oh yeah, a lot of iffy jokes about Chandler's dad,
Yeah.
mum. They don't make it clear whether he's just cross-dresses or if he's like trans.
Well, I think that whole situation is still kind of becoming, I don't know, more.
It's a pretty recent thing to like.
Yeah,
notice, but
that's a lot more recent
Yeah.
than that was to be kind of
thought about or considered anyway.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, it just I think a lot of it hasn't aged well now.
yeah.
Like, the kind of jokes they make and what.
In those days, I mean, that was just like a joke by itself. The fact that
A man dressing as a woman, yeah.
yeah,
Weird. So I
yeah.
guess it's more just like a personal thing that
it's
find kinda weird
definitely
now.
something that's more prevalent in society now. Just the fact that it's
wouldn't be weird now, and you wouldn't
yeah,
make a
it's
joke
more
about it, 'cause it's normal.
socially kind of acceptable,
Yeah.
I guess, and just it's
Not a
more
thing.
more common, I guess.
Yeah,
It's becoming more commonplace.
more understood. Whereas I guess China
And,
could say
yeah.
like, my dad wears a wig, and there'd be like a laugh track, and like
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah,
So that's changed a lot.
yeah,
And I don't know. Yeah, things are played for laughs that I wouldn't laugh at anymore so much.
mm-hmm.
And also just the fact that I've seen it probably over 5 times, easily 5 to 10 times.
Yeah.
So I cannot watch it anymore. Like I physically repel against. I can't do it.
Yeah,
I've seen it too many times. But it is on the list just because obviously it's really easy to marathon and have on the background.
yeah,
I
sure.
think.
I would agree. I do like Friends a lot, but again, I haven't seen it for so long that I don't know, kind of, how I would feel about it now.
Yeah.
But I imagine it would be okay. It's just, I think it's just the laugh track thing just feels completely outdated to me now.
Yeah, and they do this thing sometimes where they say a joke and it's like they're about to transition to the next scene. There's a laugh track, and they all just kind of freeze in position.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
stop watching. I can't stop taking note of that. It's really upsetting.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Because
so strange.
we were saying last night about because obviously there's videos of The Big Bang Theory where they take out the laugh track and it's like, oh, it's all
Yeah.
really awkward. But if you did that with any show with a laugh track, it would
The
be
pauses.
really weirdly
Yeah.
awkward.
It'd be so uncomfortable
Because
to
there's
watch.
there's always a gap where someone, like sometimes they even stumble over their words because like they don't know when to start talking again because they can obviously hear the audience
Yeah, that's true.
and they kind of they they start talking and then the audience is
still
still
laughing.
laughing, so they can't start talking again. It's like, why
What would
this
that
would
be
look so
without?
weird if there wasn't anyone laughing.
Just be silence and then someone stammering and then starting again eventually.
Yeah.
Like they would just really hate each other. I think without a laugh track, it seemed like everything they said like okay, silence.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good at the time, and I think
Mhm.
it's still iconic.
Yeah.
But one of the more recent sitcoms I like that you haven't seen or you don't like.
New Girl.
Oh, New Girl.
I just remember
Okay.
the first 2 seasons.
I'm gonna be talking about like
That is the one with Zoe Deschanel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She's a New Girl,
I do not like Zoe Deschanel very much.
which I don't understand. She's
Just-
alright.
just, mm.
She's fine. Like
I mean, I don't
not
know her, obviously. I just don't like the stuff
I
that,
know her personally.
as an
and she's
actor.
an
she's
angel.
Yeah.
She's like I get why she's got a shtick. She's quirky. Ooh, she's got fringe. Got blue eyes.
That can't be your personality.
I know. But I think it works in New Girl. I really like the humor in it. I just remember the first 2 seasons being one of my favorite seasons of any TV show.
Really?
Just yeah, I remember every episode being. If I watch it again now, I might not agree, but
Yeah.
I remember there being
A lot of episodes that were just consistently funny throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Schmidt's a really good character.
again a terrible character, kind of like Ross, and like there's like a line of dark-haired men, like just men with abnormally dark hair being terrible people.
Tall dark
Ross,
man.
Ted,
Oh
Schmidt.
yeah. Sure.
JD.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it for now.
Terrible, like to women.
All
Just in
things.
general, as a person.
Just starts off as like like the kind of they're normally like comic relief characters. Like it's funny that they're bad people, not just to women, just like to each other.
Yeah.
And they have weird expectations of things. But Ted is a whole other thing. I hate Ted more than Ross, definitely, in my hierarchy of sitcom men that I don't enjoy.
Yeah. Ted is in Ted Mosby. How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that meets the mother.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't have much to say on either, just because it's just fun. It's not a perfect TV show. I don't know how it goes after season 2. I think Taylor Swift is in the last episode, and then
Of New Girl.
Yeah.
Really?
In season 2, yeah.
Okay.
When she's still doing like the country stuff.
Yeah.
Just a cameo really, really quickly, which is silly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just always silly is the main word, and really easy to watch. And then it gets probably more into the drama after that, and I think as like a lot of sitcoms, it gets more and more far fetched, and they jump the shark. Is that the thing?
That is the thing. I'm not entirely sure what it means,
But they do it.
but I know it. It's from Happy Days, isn't it? Someone literally jumps over a shark.
And dies. And then it gets bad. I think it normally means it just says subtle. Google.
I'm gonna check
real quick.
quickly. I think it is. I think someone like jet skis over a shark.
Yeah. I remember a side note. If you remember, what is it, Pint and 2 Packets of Crisps, like the BBC weird, like.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
It's really
so
bad. It's really bad. But I remember watching it before I knew what sitcoms were, and like some bits were silly, but I remember hating it so. And there was an episode where I think someone literally jumps over a shark, and they come back with like a leg missing or something like that, and I just like, and that's just a point in the series.
And I found that kind of funny.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So it is Fonz, the Fonz from Happy Days jumps over a shark
Does he die, or is it?
on water skis.
Or is it like?
Thus was labelled the lowest point of the show.
Okay.
So that's what that means. I don't think he dies. It's just. That's
Is it
what
then?
It means.
It's downhill from there, or does this normally recover?
Just
from that
I think
point?
it just means it's the worst
Okay.
point. You were just talking about
Okay.
2 Pints Lager
Yeah, it
Chris, and it
was.
just reminded me of Scream Wipe,
Yeah.
which is a really good show.
Yeah.
There's an episode where they do a pretty much like a parody of that called Bombing Off.
Yeah, it's actually really close to that now. that I think about it. I feel like these are the same sets.
You've seen all of Scream
Yeah,
Wipe,
yeah.
and that is just like it's so ridiculous, but it's
Disgusting,
it's
terrible.
it's a bit too close to
Which
be
makes me
funny
wonder,
almost.
Was 2 packets of lager and
And a pint of
crisps,
crisps.
was that satirical?
I don't think it
Was
was.
it tongue in cheek?
I think it was
for people who came back pissed at 3 a.m. to watch and
BBC Three.
just be an idiot watching it.
Which is me when I was 11. It's all me. Yeah, like after Family Guy. Oh, the same as that like Muppet. Not the Muppets.
Oh
Not
yeah,
the
that's
Muppets.
some kind of
the puppet
like
with the
scroungers or
yeah,
something.
they're like the alley cats and the puppets.
Yeah,
but it's
I never
for
saw
adults.
it, but it looked a bit
No,
shit.
it looked really bad.
Yeah.
That's not on my list.
No.
What is?
Yeah, I just want to talk about Screen Wipe quickly. So Screen Wipe was literally just I think it's still on. It's still on every year, but now it's just called Wipe, and it comes on every year for an hour around
so it'd be like
Christmas.
2013 Wipe or something.
Yeah,
Like that.
where Charlie Brooker, maker of Black Mirror and such programs, just kind of reviews the year in a very kind of funny way. But he made this show called Screen Wipe, which was in its original format, just him talking about how TV shows are made and kind of
The industry.
the industry, yeah, and just recommending shows. And it's just such
It's a video
it's so
essay, I guess,
good.
wasn't it?
It kind of was, yeah. I mean, this was like 2000s that he was
Yeah.
making these, I think, and
He had like gelled up hair. It's like spiky. So yeah, it was really 2000s coming off the 90s.
yeah. And it was
Okay.
just completely, yeah, it was like a YouTube kind of show before YouTube was really a thing. Even though I got into it very late, like I only found this show like 5 years ago or something. But it's just so good.
It's really good, really clever, really
Well explained. Like he explains a lot of things. He does it really.
And it is
funny.
all on YouTube if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
It's just completely like deconstructs the whole idea of TV, and it's just like
At every level of and he also calls out the BBC
yeah.
like no holds barred. What's that phrase?
Yeah, no holds
Holds-
barred, I guess. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And the
He's
year,
he's
like,
very much like if he existed now, he would definitely be on YouTube rather than the BBC, I think. He would have like you know the way that because in the show it started out with him just literally sitting in his own living room just watching TV and like commenting on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like nowadays he would be a huge kind of if he'd grown up in this time, he would have been a
Would have been
YouTube
YouTube, yeah.
personality
Yeah.
and just be like one of those angry kind of reviewer guys.
Yeah. And that'd be his like whole thing.
Mm.
That's true actually. And I think he does the year wipe
Yeah.
really well and just has a very I don't know, he's got a good head on his shoulders. I don't always say that usually. But
It's one of the only shows that I look forward to like at the end of the year
Yeah.
now. It's
and
just
it's kind of nice. And everything terrible happens during the year. It's like, well, at least the year wipe is gonna be good.
yeah,
It's gonna be
exactly.
good this year.
God, the 2016 one was amazing just because of how with like
That was
Brexit
one of the
and
most
Trump and stuff.
depressing
Like
things.
it was just he had so much material to go off.
yeah. This is
If anything, if there's any other sexual allegations that come out about Charlie Brooker, I'm gonna
Christ.
kill myself
Please,
because
no.
that would just be the worst one
Not
because I
Charlie.
believe so much in him.
Yeah. I want him to do well. I want him to not be a terrible person.
Yeah,
This is like the voice of consciousness at the moment. The moral compass.
Yeah.
It feels like
yeah. He's just got
I don't know what I do.
yeah. He's got just something about the way he understands society is just really, and technology and stuff like
Yeah.
the Black Mirror is
It's
just
just good
very
opinions.
yeah
Good
very relatable, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and explains really well, and it's just
Mm.
gets everything across really well. I don't think I have any like informative TV shows like that.
Mm.
Non-fiction.
Well, what do you think about Black Mirror?
Oh yeah. It's not on here just because it's one of those ones that isn't fun to. Well, no, it is kind of fun to watch, and there are because some episodes are so good. The ones that aren't as good, I feel in my mind, really aren't as good.
Right. Yeah.
What one?
There's definitely a quality kind of hierarchy to it.
Yeah, some episodes I think it depends on how ambitious they're being. So like obviously
Yeah.
before Netflix, pre-Netflix,
Yeah.
the episodes I really liked were really simple. Like what was it? The History of You and
Yeah.
the one where he's a robot,
Yeah.
Ex Machina.
Yeah.
I really like those just because I think the only thing that they did was like have a bit of effects for the eye thing, but everything it wasn't like set in the future. Well, kind of was, but it was very low budget. So and the writing was very believable.
Yeah.
Not
So-
that far from reality, I guess.
Yeah. So I've started watching The Twilight Zone recently
Oh,
and realized that it's very much it's so similar to Black Mirror. These concepts where because the thing with Black Mirror is it's different every episode. They've got a whole different cast. It's usually a whole different time period. Generally sort of futuristic and
Yeah.
technology based, but
Completely episodic, like it's contained. in
yeah,
every
it's
episode.
all contained in its own episode, and they're all like an hour long, and it's like just a little mini movie that's like a little kind of commentary,
Yeah.
I guess, on some aspect of society. Usually, social media,
Politics.
yeah,
things,
politics,
Society in general.
yeah, and I feel like a lot of it will actually kind of reflect how things develop with
Yeah,
technology.
Depressingly.
Yeah,
Feels a little too close. Like, what was it? The first episode of the Netflix season
yeah.
did not feel very far.
No,
from the
yeah.
future.
But that was where it was kind of this kind of utopia where everyone is basing everything around this
rating?
like system. Yeah, the
Hmm.
rating system, which is basically the likes system of
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's no currency anymore. It's pretty much just like, do you have this many likes? Then you can unlock stuff, like get a house
Yeah,
if you're that popular and stuff like that, like status
Yeah.
symbols.
exactly. So she wants to get promotion at work, but she hasn't got enough credibility on this mobile app, basically, which is a really weird thing to think that that's
actually
what will
not
get her
fair.
ahead in her career.
Yeah.
So she has to she's kind of sucking up to her friend who's getting married and is like desperate to get to her wedding because she wants
She's a really high status person. Like she's got
Yeah.
like something like that. So
Yeah,
she just
yeah.
wants to be influenced.
so if she gets sort of likes from her, then she knows she'll kind of get this promotion, and it's
Yeah.
just it's the worst. It's almost one of the worst kind of hellscapes that the show has come up with because it's such like everyone has to be so fake and nice
Yeah.
to stay,
Relevant kind of. Like,
relevant,
hmm.
yeah, and also within their jobs and stuff because there's a bit where she gets coffee and she has to rate the guy, and obviously like she gives him a good rating because of their interaction, but it's like if you get bad ratings then you could get fired and stuff like that, and it's just
Yeah.
like
The stakes are so high for such
Yeah.
a dumb thing.
yeah.
I really like the ending to that. I think I've seen some people say they didn't really get the ending or didn't like it very much. Where she's like in that cell opposite this other guy who's also in a cell, and they just like scream "fuck you" at each other.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
like
good
really-
kind of contrast to how
Whole thing's
everything
wrong.
is on the outside world. It's just
Yeah.
like you should be able to just say "fuck
Yeah,
you,"
and it's like a pent up, like rage.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole the tension that's stored in the whole episode. It's kind of refreshing for the audience as well. It's like a really it's one of the few episodes that I feel like kind of has a happy ending. Just in that.
almost, yeah,
Like, it's
that's true.
just a bit like you kind of see the humanity in it again for a second at the end. Whereas all the other ones are just bleak pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah.
What was that
What
one?
do you think is the bleakest one?
I was
What do you
gonna
think?
say, I did not like the one. I think it was the last one with the bees as much. That feels like a big like sci-fi
yeah.
epic thing. That
Yeah.
felt a bit too big for me. But I
That one wasn't great. It felt a bit more like the birds. Birds
Yeah.
and the bees.
Birds and the Bees.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just trying to. It felt like a movie as opposed to I don't know, too sci-fi, too out there maybe. But
Yeah.
it was alright.
Even though it all made sense, but it just wasn't that interesting.
No,
I
yeah.
really liked the Christmas one with John Hamm. I think
Oh.
it was the year before last or something. I'm definitely gonna watch that one again this year because
Christmas special.
yeah,
Festive.
it's just so interesting the way that it talks about like blocking people in real life and people getting stuck in technology pretty much as slaves because I can only think
Yeah?
of that film with Johnny Depp, Transcendence.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, he pretty much gets downloaded onto a computer. Johnny Depp.
Like Lucy?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Like Lucy.
Right.
Scarlett Johansson classic.
Yeah, just a string of movie references to get. to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, it's the Christmas one is basically about people being trapped within a computer. They don't have to eat, or they're pretty much immortal, but they're still conscious. So they are living this kind of slave life of, you know, sort of controlling your blinds and your lights and your house and stuff like that. Pretty much like automated to help you to serve actual humans.
Yeah. That was it.
But just the way that it ends is like.
And they stuck in it as like
so
a loop.
maddening, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't even. It's something to do with this. Is probably spoilers, but from what I remember, it's a guy is giving, is in like police custody or something, and he's giving a testimony about something. I can't exactly remember.
Did it do with his son or something like that? It was like a marriage kind of divorce situation, I think.
Possibly. It's been a
I
while
really
since
can't
I
remember,
saw
yeah.
it. But yeah, he ends up getting trapped in this room with I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day playing just over and over, and he smashes up the radio, and it just doesn't even like, I think it just like appears behind him again.
Yeah.
And it's like he's just trapped in this room forever listening to that, and like consciously like, and then it kind of zooms out and he's there again and again and again. And
yeah.
It's
like a reel.
It really, it really affected me. Just like, that's got to be the most mental thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, the most. I think
and that's all that song reminds me of now. It's just like the repetitive.
Maddening.
Yeah, madness.
I think I found it. It was really good and dramatic, but at that point I found it more silly than I did. Dramatic. But I get why it would be really bleak and horrible. But I was just kind of watching like, this is dumb.
Wasn't it that John Hamm is a sex offender or something in that? Because he ends up getting blocked in real life, so whenever someone sees him, he appears as like a red kind of mist shape.
And like his face is blurred out or something like that to people.
It's like, I think everything is just blurred, and he's like a red symbol, so everyone around him knows what he is.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is a very prevalent thing in Charlie Brooker's
shaming people. Public shame.
Public shame. Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Especially in
White Bear?
White Bear. Yeah. That one.
That's one of the bleakest.
Very intense.
That's actually really that's one of my favorite ones just because
it's a good one though.
Yeah, of how it leads you on Father Hobson at the end. I think I kind of like the video game one. A lot of people didn't like that.
Yeah. The one with the guy from Get Out.
Oh no, I did like that, but I mean in the Netflix one where he goes to someone's house.
Yeah, where he's in and he's like in the simulation for like 10 seconds or something.
Yeah, and actually he was there the whole time or something like that. I kind of like that. That felt a bit horrible.
It was quite good, yeah.
I know people didn't like that because they thought it was bullshit, but I thought it was okay.
Okay.
I think that's what I read. The bleakest one though, I think would be it's in the Netflix one. Okay, the best one is obviously San Junipero. That's a really good episode.
Yeah, that one is great.
It
that one's
won
really
awards
good.
and it deserved to.
Yeah.
What was it? What was the other?
There was another one with the kid watching. Was it like child porn or something?
Yeah, that was the bleakest one, I think.
Yeah, that was
because you really feel for the kid throughout the whole thing, and then you realize.
I didn't really think it was a great episode, but you know.
Yeah.
I can't really remember much that happened. I know he just. Oh wait, yeah, no, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got Bronn in it from Game of Thrones.
Who?
I think it's Bronn. You know,
I've forgotten. I haven't seen it for so long. I've forgotten.
Bronn is the guy who helps teaches Jamie to fight again after he loses his hand.
Oh shit! Yeah, it does.
He's like his getaway driver guy.
Yes, it's like a chain of people that have to do things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll be.
Yeah, because he's trapped in it as well.
Yeah, I didn't like it. That was like a troll face at the end. I thought that was stupid.
Oh yeah.
Like you could have just like. So the thing at the end, he's doing all this stuff so that this truth won't come out, and throughout the thing, you're just thinking like, oh, so he's just like masturbated on camera basically, and it's gonna be sent to people, and just like that sucks, but like it's not. It's not the worst thing someone could be doing, and then you find out like no, it was child porn, and that's gonna get out.
I didn't get that.
Get out anywhere.
Yeah, I really didn't get that the first time that I watched it though, because it's essentially he watches child porn in the beginning. You think he's probably just watching like regular porn.
Yeah.
And then someone manages like a hacker, I guess, manages to capture it. So he's got this to blackmail this kid with.
And everyone's paranoid about their webcams being hacked in anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. Haven't you got yours covered? Oh, it's not.
Yeah, I've always had mine covered actually.
Right.
Yeah, pretty paranoid.
Kind of playing on that. Which is useful.
Yeah.
It's really. I like
and then
it.
he has to do a series of tasks to not have this video kind of get out.
Leaked to people.
Yeah.
So I liked how much it plays with you like wanting to align the audience with a certain character and
Mm.
make you like someone and make you feel for them, and then it's like, oh, you liked the wrong person.
Yeah.
You got duped. So that was kind of good and bleak and horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, like History of You and Robot One and San Junipero.
San Junipero, I thought what it did really well was because in a lot of shows you see people go back to the 80s and the 90s, but in this it shows a flashback. Well, it's not flashback, but it's like a version of events in the 2000s. And you never see that because it feels so recently that you'd think, oh, it can't be
Yeah.
that different. But it captures it so well in like the clothes
part
that
is
people are
that?
wearing and the films, that like film posters and the music.
Yeah.
And it's so obvious that it's that time period, but you never see.
Yeah, that's new. I feel like that's one of the first depictions of like that being a flashback.
Yeah,
When is that in the TV show? Because I can only remember the 80s bit.
I think it's near the beginning. I can't exactly remember. It's been a while since I watched it, but there's a part where the main girl walks in and sees the other girl that she likes, and it's like first the 80s, and then it's the 90s, then it's 2000s.
Okay.
So
watch it again.
it's in the beginning where you're sort of thinking, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Because like she's seeing her in different. You're thinking, is she like a time travel
Yeah.
or something? Yeah, it's a good episode though.
Yeah.
And
good.
pretty much just ends up being the fact that you can either choose to die or you can be uploaded to this
Game.
kind of world where
Second
you
life.
can live for yeah, pretty much Second Life,
Yeah.
literally, where you can just live forever in like this perfect kind of world, I guess. And
Yeah.
it just resets, and
Yeah.
you can just be young forever,
And like, of course,
or
it
you
also
can
has.
actually just die. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like the like lesbian representation where it ends nicely because there's so many like gay relationships where like one of them dies tragically. Like it normally ends tragically, and it almost does that in this, but not quite because that's a happy ending, even though they do die.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, and you don't see that, and that's important.
Yeah.
That's the reason I liked it.
Yeah.
And it's just really well. I don't know if it's like well produced or something. It's just really well contained, well told,
Yeah.
good episode. 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
I
I'd say
think.
so. And like, yeah, I think gay representation in general is becoming more and more like more just a normal thing in TV shows, not like a spectacle in any way. It's
Yeah.
just like that's just you know,
Another
you don't even have
valid
to talk
relationship.
about it. That's just a relationship.
Yeah.
Which is
It's good when
obviously how
they're
it should
done
be.
well. Yeah, when they're
Mm.
written as characters and not as the whole thing is
Yeah.
that they're gay and that's like that's enough.
And
We
not
got
like
it.
cliches or stereotypes or anything.
Yeah,
Just
Just well written characters.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Mhm.
Again, that does not happen much in a lot of my other ones. Rom-coms don't really care about that, it turns out. Not rom-coms, sitcoms.
What gay characters?
Just like well-written characters. Like, yeah, groundbreaking kind of characters.
Mm.
No, they're all pretty easy to sum up. Like one-dimensional.
Right. Yeah. They've got their thing. Like
Yeah. You can describe their character in like one sentence.
like
pretty
Ross
much.
is the boring
Bad one.
Ross is the arsehole.
Yeah. He's that guy. We've got Frasier on here, but that's not comparable to Black Mirror in any way.
Okay, yeah, we
There's-
can move away from Black Mirror.
There's no segue at all. Except that I'm not sure if you meant to like Frasier.
If you're meant to like.
Yeah. I've watched it so many
Oh,
times
what,
I still don't know.
the Frasier Crane?
The-
the
yeah,
character?
yeah, the main
Okay,
character.
Yeah, because I haven't properly watched it. Like I've seen
Alright.
episodes here and there, but I never felt like I was really that into it.
Oh, it's one of those just like Friends and Just Shoot Me. It's one of those things that was on in the morning.
Yeah,
so
that's where I primarily watched
Yeah.
it.
So I ended up seeing the whole thing like 3 times maybe just because it's on every day.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're meant to like him because he's not a nice person. Again,
Is he not? I never got that.
he's okay. He's
vibe.
not. He's not like a bad. He's just kind of gross a little bit. Like he says
Yeah.
things that are like really cringy about people, and Niles is very clearly the best character of it. But I don't know if that's just the dynamic. I think it's still pretty. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's alright.
I saw a Cracked video where they were talking about the fact that Frasier has a son, but he sees him like 3 times throughout the course of the
Yeah,
series, and is just talking about how like a terrible father he is.
pretty much. Like,
Because he
there's
never talks about him either.
no, they just pull out that character when they want to have like a father-son dynamic for one episode, and then like goodbye again for
I
another
definitely
season.
never saw an episode where his son was in it.
I've
So.
seen, yeah, only maybe a few with his like ex-wife Lilith.
Yeah.
There's so many characters in that. Thinking about it, like, there's so many women that he goes out with that come back again at some point, and just I like the tone of it. It's dumb.
Yeah.
That's good. And the rest of them are pretty. Oh, Community.
Okay.
Is
yeah.
that comparable to Black Mirror? No.
Doesn't have to be.
Parody? No. Okay. Never. Black Mirror is now the
Does
standard.
it have to be? Is it comparable to Frasier? Because it has to be.
Oh shit. There's a main character that I don't think you're meant to like. All of these have characters that you're not meant to like.
Yeah. That seems to be a running
Like the
thing.
lightning rod of hate. But then.
Do you think the main guy in Community is not meant to be likable?
Okay. First of all, I don't know if he's the main character anymore. He starts off as the main character, as Jeff, the lawyer, ex-lawyer.
Yeah.
No, I think he's meant to be an asshole. I think he's meant to be like slimy.
Yeah.
And then they all develop as it goes on. I think that's one of the main like. I'd say Community is one of the best shows for character development and character study. How many times have we said this before? And being very self-aware of its tropes and what it's parodying. My favorite ones are definitely the parody episodes and how like the attention to detail the episodes have, like down to like what camera they use, how they edit it, like the dialogue. It's really cool. My favorite character in that's probably Abed, because he's just like
Abed is a really good character.
Yeah, he's great. And any episode that centers around him is normally really good. They're normally the parody episodes. And I like, again, talking about representation, I like how well written he is for like an autistic character. I mean, we only have Big Bang Theory to compare it to in mainstream television.
Essentially, yeah.
That's it.
There probably are others here and there, but as far as actually
there's ones you could read as autistic, but yeah, there's ones that like pretty much completely
and actually state that they are.
Yeah, and like everyone states it. I really like how that's tackled. And how
the good thing. Sorry, go on.
No, come on, I was gonna say.
I just gonna say like the interesting thing about Abed as well is that he is very like sort of the fourth wall breaking side of the show as well, and that doesn't really happen that much in shows like that in sitcoms because you get I mean he's literally predicting what's going to happen in future events and stuff like that, and kind of deconstructing the format of sitcom shows and sort of being like, there is a bottle episode where he's literally like, oh, okay, we're doing a bottle episode.
I love that so much. That's like it's one of my favorite TV shows.
Yeah.
And the amount of documentary episodes there are.
Yeah.
And he explains why documentary format is really fitting for the episode and stuff like that. I really love that, how he deconstructs everything.
There's so many
it's pretty
good
meta.
episodes of it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the D&D episode is really good. I think my favorite episode is maybe the one where the dean is making an advert and Abbott's making a documentary of like his descent into madness.
Yeah.
And how he calls like, this is obviously going to end very badly and I want to be around there to film it.
Yeah, I think I saw that one.
Yeah, it's one where like Jeff starts out as the dean by wearing a ball cap and he's just like really over the top, and then he's like, oh, it's really good. And then Chang is like in the wings waiting to play the dean, and he does that by wearing a ball cap over his normal hair, and then a Jeff wig over the ball cap, and then a ball cap over the Jeff wig, and like so that's like halfway through the show, Dean like fires Jeff, and then Chang comes on and like takes the ball cap off, really revealing the like Jeff hair like luxuriously, and Dean's like, that's real, that's authentic, that's what we want, and it like ends. Oh no, that's how it ends because you haven't seen it. That's the one. That's the one thing I will not spoil. But I just love the comedy in that. It really gets good as it goes on. And another really good episode is the. Have you seen the one where it's a dinner party and the different versions of it?
I don't think I have. No,
really
I don't remember that one.
I
didn't watch too far into it, so I've still got some
episodes.
to go. Yeah,
watch those episodes.
I do. I will get back into
First
it.
3 seasons. There's this one, I can't remember what it's called. They've all got like, I think it's like remedial chaos theory. I think they're all named after like class names. and basically Abbott and Troy get an apartment together, and they all sit down, and then the door buzzes for like the pizza delivery, and Jeff suggests that they roll a dice to see who should go get it, and then every time they roll a dice, it goes into a new version of like what would happen if that person left the room, and then it plays out the scene.
Yeah.
There's one where I think Troy goes to. He's like the most positive character of the whole thing, I would say. So he goes to get the pizza, and immediately, so one of the characters has a gun in their bag. That goes off, shoots somebody. Something burns the oven and starts a fire. So, and then, like in some kind of like Rube Goldberg effect.
Yeah.
Like someone gets shot in the leg. Someone dies, and there's this like troll doll that Chevy Chase is gonna give to. He doesn't have a character name. It's just Chevy Chase.
I can't remember what his name was.
Essentially. Pierce. That's it.
Yeah, that's Pierce,
he's gonna give it to Troy to like freak him out, and so like Troy just comes back in the building where there's somebody got shot in the leg, someone's died. There's fire everywhere, and there's this troll doll in the middle of the room, and it just zooms in on this troll doll and him screaming, and then it goes to the next version, and that's really good. And it ends in like the back at so like the after credit bit is there around the table again because it's all based around this like study group table. Shirley is like an alcoholic. Jeff has lost an arm. Britta's only got like a dyed streak in her hair. Troy screamed so much that he broke his vocal cords, so he has to speak through like a voice machine thing.
Yeah.
And Abba's basically like cutting out mustaches out of black felt, saying this is obviously the darkest timeline, so I've made us all like evil goatees to wear.
Nice.
And it's just a really good episode. I
think.
Oh, and also the paintball ones are really good.
Paintball one's good. I think the one that I found the best so far of what I've seen was the one where Abed starts working in the kitchen, and it's like the parody of kind of like gangster movies. I think it's a kind of like a Goodfellas parody where
and The Godfather.
Yeah, where Abed basically starts working in the kitchen so that he has access to the chicken fingers.
Yeah.
Because they're like they keep going. Like the gang keep going to the cafeteria. That's what I'm gonna call them. And they've always run out of chicken fingers, and they're like the best thing to have for lunch. So Abed gets a position in the kitchen where he has control of like who gets chicken fingers, and it's kind of like this weird like drug trafficking thing, but it's all with chicken fingers. And there's like the commentary over it where he's talking about it in really serious terms, as if it is like this like gangster movie.
Yeah.
And it's not just a cafeteria.
And all the power kind of goes to his head, and he's sort of controlling people with that.
Yeah, and there is a scene where like Jeff's normally the leader of the group, and he's like exiled from the room, and Troy like slowly closes the door.
Yeah, it's like literally just the Godfather at that point.
Scene.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah. So Dan Harmon wrote that, and it honestly, like talking about it, you can kind of see how. Because I think the best episodes of Community are the ones where it's kind of being a bit silly and like not just being formulaic. It's being really theme. There's like a theme. There's a lot of big theme episodes where it's kind of parodying something. Or it's
trying to do a complete homage.
Doing something different. Yeah. I think you can definitely see that in the way that he writes Rick and Morty as well. But.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. Again, I don't know how much I could really say about that because it's it's kind of been a bit ruined.
Szechuan sauce fiasco.
With the entire fan base and such. Just
I bet it's good. I just couldn't get into it. Like I saw two or three episodes, and every time I got that there were funny bits, but it was just a bit too much for me. I think it's probably good. It was probably good at some point.
Yeah.
Shame that we have to move on from it forever now, but I'm sure it's fine.
It's interesting how you are generally eventually right about a lot of things.
Really?
That I don't immediately kind of believe. I mean, this is completely off topic, but you were talking about someone who knew Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
And at that time I was this was way before, well, maybe
Anything
like
broke
a
out.
month before or
Yeah.
something, couple months.
I found out about, so it's like I work with people that one person had a direct experience with him, and then like another coworker lived with him in like the 90s in New York when this stuff happened.
Yeah,
So I
you
heard from
worked with
her.
someone who lived with Kevin Spacey.
I didn't ever
at
work
some
with that
point.
person, but I worked with the
Okay.
manager who worked with that person.
Someone who worked, so you know,
Yeah.
a friend of a friend.
And the
yeah.
manager did meet him at some point, so I
Right,
had
right.
one direct
Uh-huh.
like relation. Yeah, I know everything. I know
And
about everything.
yeah, she apparently knew some shady things about Kevin Spacey
Yeah.
before any of this came out.
Yeah, so I heard about the like sexual predator allegation already
Mm.
from that person. I just like, oh, he's a terrible human. That's a shame.
Yeah.
And the other one was just like, so this manager worked at I actually don't know the place, but somewhere in London, food was sold there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Restaurant.
yeah, more like a Greg's situation.
Okay,
like
right, yeah.
I don't know, the food is there already and you go.
Food place.
Yeah, it's a food place. And the assistant would always come in. Like, what's his name? Kevin Spacey's assistant.
Oh yeah.
Would always ask like the cheapest sandwich option that there is. And one time they didn't have it and they were like closing. And she's like, do you have it? Do you have the sandwich? I was like, no, we're closing. And she like broke down apparently. It's like, he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And he was like, she's really upset about it, which is worrying. And then one time apparently he came in. And it was the day, it was around Christmas. I think they made like mince pie or something like that. And they all burnt. Was a bad batch.
Yeah.
So they're giving away for free with every
So this was
order.
Kevin Spacey actually came in.
Yeah.
Himself. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's every person that came in, she'd ask like, oh, do you want a mince pie? Like a free mince pie.
Yeah.
And when she asked that to Kevin, he freaked out like, no, I don't want your mince pie. Like, I don't just treat me differently because I'm famous, something like that. And it was really cringy. And like, nope, they're just giving it out for free because they're doing that for everyone.
That's really awkward.
It's pretty bad. And then
oh
apparently
god.
the guy that was next in line was like, does that mean I get two? And it's just really, like, just an all-round bad person. Apparently he's really messy.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like now it just seems like it was an open secret almost that he, I mean, not only was kind of in the closet, but also just very promiscuous and dodgy.
Yeah, dodgy is the main thing. But
I mean, the whole gay thing is beside the point. Like, he shouldn't have even made that thing because that doesn't matter. It's the fact that he has clearly been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, and like he's just a bad person. Oh, I think he ran a theater. I think.
Yeah, he was like the producer at the Old Vic Theater.
That was it.
And yeah, apparently there's been like 20 or so alleged allegations towards him.
Yeah,
since this all came out, so it's clear that and apparently a guy who was working on House of Cards spoke about just how oh no, it might have been Baby Driver actually.
Baby Driver?
Yeah.
Okay. This one's
Yep.
Spoilers.
Probably the last thing he'll be in for a while.
Yeah, maybe forever. Hopefully. But this is the thing with all these allegations that everyone knew for the most part. Like everyone in the industry knew about these people already. It's just that now it's making headlines, which is worrying. But hopefully, good for.
Should be good for the future of the industry.
Yeah,
hopefully.
We can keep this up.
Yeah.
Keep exposing them. And that was my favorite TV show. It's very fun. Being on topic. It's just
all right, yeah.
That's my favorite one to binge watch.
Yeah.
Is men getting their comeuppance. It's pretty good. Also, I'm hungry.
I'm pretty hungry, yeah.
My stomach keeps going. I'm worried that the microphone's picking up. So I'd be up for getting food.
Yeah. I think that's the plan.
Yeah.
So do you have any other things that you want to mention?
Any TV shows? I think I've gone through them all. Do I have any honorable mentions? Oh, Flight of the Conchords is good.
Yeah, sure.
You can go for that really quickly. It's fine. I didn't really talk about How I Met Your Mother, but that is not good. I've decided. I thought it was good the first time I watched it. I really liked it, and then I watched it maybe a few years later, and I immediately didn't like it. I don't know why. I don't know what changed in me, but.
You know what I don't like about How I Met Your Mother is just the fact that they're always trying to make jokes happen.
Yeah, they really are.
The bro code and like all these
gimmicks,
kind of it's very try hard.
Yeah. Like before people were hashtagging things, they were trying to make a hashtag out of every single joke that was there. It was very unnatural, it felt.
Yeah.
So yeah, not good. Red Dwarf is really good. Did I mention that?
Haven't seen it. No, you haven't mentioned it.
Okay,
but
it's really good.
You told me to watch it.
Yeah. One of the first TV shows I really got into, like ever. Just a British sci-fi sitcom. In space with sci-fi. very good. I realized,
80s.
yeah, so in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
So it's a bit dated, I guess, but I think it's fine. It stands by it.
Yeah.
It's got campy humor. I think it's good. My brother's been watching Star Trek recently. He keeps making me watch it and making me know things about it against my will.
Yeah.
And I've realized how much of a parody it is of Star Trek.
Oh, really?
Like down to everything. Yeah, like little scale models, like the really obviously terrible scale models of the like ships crashing into things. The like monsters and aliens and how badly they're made. Like it's some of it I don't know if it's meant to be on purpose, and some of it feels like it is. But that's just good comedy. I think the original run of it is my favorite. I don't really like it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then Frasier. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Did you have any others?
The only other one that I had on my list was The Jinx, which is technically a TV show, but it's mainly a documentary.
Yeah.
But it's set out like a TV show because it's episodic. I think it's like
it's
10
episodes. Oh, really? I thought only 4. No, there are 10. You're right.
There's quite a few. Anyway.
Yeah.
Which is basically about this guy. What the fuck is his name?
Oh jeez. He's a bad guy.
Jeff. Robert Durst.
Jeff.
Robert Durst. Really famous from a really wealthy family of real estate owners. And yeah, he got away with murder several times, and basically just kind of looking over all the evidence against him, and clearly how he did all these things, dismembered people. Just, and obviously looking at like his background and like why he became this, and just it's
how he
very
got away with it, and the ingredient like corruption.
Yeah. And he was infamously difficult to get an interview with, and like the second episode in this documentary, they're like, "Oh my god, we got an interview," because he's still free. He's still this free, obvious murderer.
Yeah.
Who, like,
and everyone knows he's a murderer. But
yeah, and they've got an interview with him, and like, oh, he's such a creepy guy. But my god, that is a good series.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should even say like what happens at the end, because it's just, you should just watch it. It's one of the best
probably
shows.
know already because it's been out for like 3
I
years or
mean,
something.
if you haven't watched it by now.
No, but definitely go into it knowing as little as possible.
Yeah.
Which you've already learned.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good.
Yeah.
Should probably do another one on documentaries.
Yeah, documentaries. There's a lot to go through.
Yeah.
I think some really good
really
content.
into those lately.
Yeah, I want to talk about Louis Theroux for about 2 hours.
Okay, so be a good standalone.
Okay, well that's gonna do it. I think we have covered everything that is worth watching.
Yeah, we've talked about every TV show that ever existed.
Yep.
You're welcome.
I'm
leaving.
Yeah, so we're gonna finish up now. But as always, do
like
leave
the video,
suggestions
rate the video,
and
comment the video,
and do what you want.
subscribe the video.
Subscribe to the video. And let us know if we want
friends.
to talk about something specific, because that'd be cool.
Yeah, or if you're watching it.
If you got to this point, then thank you.
Impressive. How long is this?
Yeah, I've been going for about an hour 30, an hour 40.
Okay, so almost the same as the last one.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna do it. All right. Well, see you on the next one. Good.
Bye. Bye. See ya.